What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Blancmange as we continue through Believe You Me, 1985. Thank you again to Mr. Solo for this deep dive. And the next track is Other Animals. It's a very general phrase. It makes me think about saying, oh, it's a whole other type of beast, or it's, another kettle of fish. It's a whole other type of animal. So maybe there's a contrast being made, and through figurative or metaphorical meaning. Nevertheless, there's no additional context in the title, so I will try to follow what I can. Let's hear it. This is Blancmange. The tune is Other Animals, and it's from the 1985 album Believe You Me. That's it?
Signs out of danger.
assuming that that instrument is indeed a saxophone, it's the second reaction I've done in a row where a saxophone, it's flourishing, it's soloing, and yet the playing is a bit outside the, let's say, typical saxophone part that I hear in a lot of 80s songs. Like, I did a reaction to a Nena tune right before this, and the saxophone playing there, it was eccentric and eclectic in a very good way. This is similar in that some of the little runs and some of the flare-ups of the saxophone are less common, like just the writing for the sax here, or slash playing. Yeah, it has a really cool sound and is maybe not as typical, which is to say, I enjoy sax parts in general, and like typical sax writing I'm very fond of. So this isn't like a knock on some of the other sax songs that I've heard over the years and since I've been doing reaction videos. But yeah, the playing here struck me as a bit unusual in a good way. And yeah, the whole track, like very energetic, like, very busy. Again, not in a critical way, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of like fast keyboard lines, and some of them kind of like dip into a dissonant territory at the end of the melodic line. His lead vocals, again, I can't remember the lead singer of Blancmange. There's been a few times where I've commented, like, Feel Me Now, or I think it's just Feel Me, right? That tune was the first one where I was like, damn, this guy really can get intense when he sings, like, in a bigger fashion. And it's not the same as that song here, but definitely when he's hitting the lines with a bit more force, his voice really does stand out to me. And yeah, like, lyrically, I don't know what to make of this one. I didn't catch the lines as clearly. I will say the duration, like 4.5. Yeah, a little bit more than 4.5. I was like, the first minute or two, I really didn't know what was happening, and then I heard some lines where it's like, oh, like, is he basically saying that, like, humans are animals? We very much are. We are mammals and primates, and if we are those things, then we are definitely animals, despite the way, I don't know, a lot of cultures and a lot of belief systems try to set humans apart from that, and whether that is a resistance to the idea of evolutionary biology, or it's just this idea that, oh, once we attained our sentient brains, we're no longer animals, which I think is a very debatable point. But I was thinking, like, okay, maybe that's kind of what we're doing here, but there were lines about, like, when other animals are leaving the cities and, like, going near border lines and so on, so I don't quite know, but it does sound like movement, and the distinction of one territory versus another territory is something happening here, but I couldn't piece it all together, and, like, by the time the song ended, I was like, oh, like, I needed more lines to work with, so it's one I'll have to listen to again and let the lines, wash over me some more. Obviously, if you have insights, do let me know. But yeah, a cool tune, and a very, again, frenetic, kind of intense tune, but not in a bad way. So yeah, looking forward to the remainder of the album. I don't know how many more tracks, because again, I went through like a greatest hits of their material, so I'm always like trying to make sure that I'm not repeating anything. The next tune in the playlist for this album is No Wonder They Never Made It Back, and I do not think I've reacted to that. And the last tune is John, which I also don't think I reacted to, right? Yeah, so the remaining 2 tracks on the album I have not previously reacted to. Once again, big shout out to Han Solo and to the other people who've commented on the Blancmange reactions thus far, and I will see you next time. Peace.